I just have a quick question in this one, but allow me to set it up for you first. So, on Wednesday, Attorney General Pam Bondi testified before Congress, and she was asked many questions about the recent Jeffrey Epstein document dump, about the files released thus far, courtesy of the Transparency Act, which was pushed in part by Thomas Massie. That's who I want to ask you a question about. But speaking of questions, he asked her quite a few questions, namely about a redaction which had been made on a document about child trafficking and alleged co-conspirators. So, one alleged co-conspirator on this document was Les Wexner. Thomas Massie knew this ahead of time. He had seen the document, I suppose, but he wondered why it had then been redacted. So he challenged the administration, the Justice Department, on this, and according to Pam Bondi herself, she said that they unredacted this name, Les Wexner's name, approximately 40 minutes later. So when he asked her about the unnecessary redaction, blackout, and why they appeared to be hiding something, she said, well, considering how many times Les Wexner's name is in the Epstein Files, I'm not exactly hiding anything. It's right there. So then the question, of course, is why redact this specific listing of his name when it's such a prolific, if you will, listing of his name. Co-conspirator. Ooh, bad stuff. And then, of course, once again, she was just highlighting the speed at which the Justice Department unredacted that name. So take that for what it's worth. That's a topic entirely of its own to tackle. So many topics to tackle within the Epstein Files. Millions upon millions of files, obviously. But really, I just want to ask a question which may seem unrelated to everything I just said, but it's not. Alright, so let me set this up. Thomas Massie previously said he was willing to name names on the House floor. Thomas Massie currently says those telling him to name names have lost the plot. It's worth noting that the Epstein Files Transparency Act was passed and signed in the meantime between those two dates, the previously and the currently. However, if Massie doesn't believe that the DOJ is doing what they should do, then shouldn't he just do what he said he would do in the first place? You tell me. So, as you can see, this was back in September 3 to be exact. Thomas Massie said, survivors at our press conference announced they are privately compiling their own Epstein list. And now they are putting together makeshift Super Bowl ads, which I don't believe were actually shown to the world during the Super Bowl because of expenses. But nevertheless, there was an ad put together by some of these victims/survivors, which was going around on social media just the other day. So with that in mind, I'll get back to this. As he said, they were compiling their own Epstein list. And Thomas Massie said of it, in regards to those names of any co-conspirators, they would be sued into homelessness for naming names. But Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and I are willing to name names in the House of Representatives under constitutional speech or debate immunity. I don't care much for Marjorie Taylor Greene and what she has to say. But that's also a topic for another day. Skipping ahead a little bit. As of February 10, a new year, Thomas Massie posted this, saying, "Those screeching name names on the floor of the House now have lost the plot. We passed a bill, and it's the DOJ's job to show the files. Yesterday, Roe, as in Ro Khanna, and I pressured DOJ to unredact several people who the FBI labeled as co-conspirators in 2019. Here's before and after yesterday." He has some documents, those documents with the alleged co-conspirators. This is just one screenshot of his entire post, so I can't pull them up individually. Here's a bit of a fact for you. The Epstein Files Transparency Act was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives on November 18 of 2025, passed by the Senate on November 19 of 2025, and signed into law shortly thereafter, with the official public law date being November 19, 2025. The legislation required the Department of Justice to release documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. That's just the basic draft, the rough draft of what has happened in the aftermath. Some say the Justice Department has complied, some say it hasn't, but either way, there have been a lot of documents to sort through, sift through, redact, unredact. I don't expect them to get it right in every case. But, minor details. Adding this to the thread so you can click the individual images. Yeah. Can't really see what I'm looking at right now. Text is too tiny. But I explained what it was. There you can see the face of Leslie Wexner, that is, co-conspirator. So, back to my question. If Massie doesn't believe the DOJ is doing what they should do, then shouldn't he just do what he said he would do in the first place? And that, of course, was him saying that he would name names on the House floor. Safe to say he has a bone to pick with the Trump administration. As much could be said about basically all of the Democrat politicians. None of them seem to care about the Epstein Files until Trump returned to office. And I would argue that they still don't care. A lot of posturing, a lot of theater. We get the theatrics on either side of the aisle, though. And I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know in the comments below what you think.